Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expert Talk series of Zoho Payroll. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session today. I am Manasa, product expert for Zoho Payroll, and I will be hosting today's session. And our product expert on Zoho Payroll, Ramanathan, will be walking you through the 7th session of the Expert Talk series. Before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. I hope I am audible. If you're unable to hear or view the screen, I request you to refresh your browser once. You are watching this session with us through Zoho Showtime, an interactive platform to host sessions powered by Zoho. Let me quickly walk you through the Showtime console you are looking at so that it's easy for you to navigate it. On the left side of the console, you will see the Questions tab where you can ask questions and we will answer them at the end of the session. If you have any other queries, you can reach out to support@zohopayroll.com with the subject line Expert Talk and we will reach out to you. We will also post the support mail ID in the chat box. We'd like this to be a lot more interactive, so there are plenty of polls throughout the session and we encourage all the attendees to participate in it. Once you post your response, the summary will be displayed in the polls option. In case you're attending this session for the first time, here's a quick intro on what Expert Talk is. It is a platform for us to interact frequently with our customers and understand how we as a community can help each other to make the best use of Zoho Payroll. Throughout the series, we will be coming up with various sessions wherein our product experts will educate you on standard features or sometimes enhanced version of an existing feature or a totally new feature that you might not have used frequently within Zoho Payroll. To make this interesting, we will narrate the session with real-life scenarios and examples. This way, you can even adopt best practices followed by payroll teams around India. You will be receiving updates about the expert series as and when we have the sessions lined up for you in your mailbox and inside the product. So watch out for them. In the last sessions, we covered payroll customizations, Form 16 generation, salary and statutory component setup, ESS portal, salary template, and statutory compliance. You can find the recordings of these sessions on our website under the Resources tab. We will also provide the link to our website in the chat box. In today's session, we will focus on understanding the payroll practices before the first pay run of the financial year, such as corrections and dues of the previous financial year, IT declaration release, salary structure changes, and statutory revamp.
This webinar where we will be talking about some of the best practices that you can utilize to begin the new fiscal year with Zoho Payroll. Let's just quickly go over today's agenda. We will start with unclaimed reimbursement handling from the previous fiscal year, then move on to some of the post-fiscal year tax implications based on some scenarios. Later on, we will talk about some of the best practices that you can follow while performing salary structure changes, and then move on to IT declaration. We will also be talking about a new feature of Zoho Payroll, that is Documents module, and see how that can help you with elevating your payroll process. Towards the end, we will be talking about some of the best practices surrounding compliance-related activities, post which we will be sharing some of the pro tips that you can implement to streamline your payroll process. Finally, we will have a 15-minute Q&A session where I will be answering some of your questions raised through the Q&A tab. Without any further ado, let's begin. The first topic for today's session is going to be about the handling of unclaimed reimbursements. During the end of the fiscal year in Zoho Payroll, if an employee fails to claim their NCTC reimbursements, the unclaimed amount will be paid out as a taxable earning automatically. This will happen when you are creating the pay run for the month of March. Let me quickly show you a demo as to how this will work in our system. Getting into Zoho Payroll, I'm just opening up this employee's profile. And once you click on the reimbursements tab, you will see the unclaimed amount for this employee. In this case, it's about 19,000 rupees. So I'm just going in to create the pay run for the month of March. So once you're here, I'm just checking this employee salary structure. And here you can see the unclaimed fuel reimbursement being added as a taxable earning. You can also verify this by checking the employee's TDS sheet. Since it is a taxable earning, you're able to find this listed under the employee's TDS sheet. Now we will see how the system can handle unclaimed LTA, as in this case, some of the orgs might want to carry forward the unclaimed LTA amount to the next fiscal year up until 2. Now we will see how the system can handle unclaimed LTA, as in this case, some organizations might want to carry forward the unclaimed amount to the next fiscal year up to 2 years. Let me just quickly take you over to the product. Once here, click on the settings option, go to salary components, and under the reimbursements tab, click on leave travel allowance. And once you're here, you will see the various options that you can configure for LTA. And here, based on this configuration, the system would either encash the unclaimed amount in the current fiscal year, or it will take it forward to the next fiscal year. Here, as you can see, we have also introduced a new option which will enable make the unclaimed reimbursement amount as a taxable earning every single month. Later on in this webinar, we will also see how you can configure this LTA component in your organization. Up next, we will be discussing about some of the post-fiscal year tax implications that an organization might encounter based on some real-world scenarios. First up, let's say you want to pay a variable pay amount to some of your exit employees from the previous fiscal year. In this case, we have come up with a new feature known as resettlement pay run so that you can record these payments in Zoho Payroll. And any income tax liability that arises through these resettlement pay runs must be handled by the employee through the ITR process. So let me just quickly take you over to the product and show you how this process will work. Once you're here, click on the pay runs option, and now click on the create pay run on the top right corner, and then click on pre-settlement payroll. Here, the first thing you would have to do is select the pay date under which you want to process this resettlement pay run. Once done, click on save. And now the system will automatically show all of the exit employees in your organization. And here you can click on add earning/deduction option and then select the earning component that you want to pay for this employee. In this case, I'm just adding a bonus component. And once you click save, if there is any income tax that has to be deducted for this component, the system will automatically calculate that and deduct it from the pay run. So that is about resettlement pay runs in Zoho Payroll. Another common scenario impacting previous fiscal year tax computation is where employees submitting additional investment proofs or declaring additional income sources after completing the regular pay run for the month of March. In either of these scenarios, the employee has to claim the necessary exemption or pay the additional income tax through the ITR process. So far, we have seen some of the best practices that an organization can utilize when transitioning to a new fiscal year from the previous one. Here on, we will delve into some of the best practices that you can follow to streamline your payroll process for the upcoming fiscal year. Let's dive right in. Typically, an organization might want to make changes to their employees' salary structure during the beginning of the fiscal year. Here, we will see how you can process a salary structure change with or without a modification to the employee CTC. The first use case, we will perform a salary structure change by changing the employee CTC. Quickly going over to Zoho Payroll, just opening up an employee's profile here. Once here, go to the salary details page. Now click on the revise option. And now you will be given two options, either a percentage based revision or based on a flat amount. So based on your requirement, you can select the relevant option. So I'm just giving the salary revision as a percentage. So once you have updated that, you can see that automatically all of the other percentage based components will be changed and any fixed amounts will have to be edited manually. Once you're happy with this, just scroll all the way down, and under payout preferences, you will have two options that will have to be selected mandatorily. First, revise salary effective from date. This is basically to ensure that you are calculating any arrears amount that is applicable to your employee's salary revisions. So in this case, I'm selecting Jan as the effective month, and for the payout month, I'm selecting the month of March. Once done, you can just click on submit. Post this salary revision will be sent to the approvals module, which you can see here under salary revision. The salary revision will be in the pending status. Once it is approved, the employee's salary revision will be applied during the pay run for the payout month. So in this case, I'm just quickly going over to the March month's pay run and clicking on apply recent changes. And if you see the employee salary structure, the arrears amount would have been automatically added. Up next, let's see how you can introduce a new component or remove an existing one from your employee's salary structure without making any changes to their CTC. For this demonstration, we will add LTA as a reimbursement component and also add an allowance component. Let's quickly go over to Zoho Payroll. We also wanted to mention that if you later on want to change the behavior of the LTA carry forward option, you can accomplish that at an employee level as well using the bulk import option. If your organization provides any benefits to your employees for which you will have to add perquisites to your employee's salary structure, Zoho Payroll has an option for that as well. In the same page, just scroll all the way down and you will have the perquisites option. Click on View, and now for this employee, I would like to add accommodation perquisite, and additionally, I'm going to add ESOP perquisite as well. Once you're happy, just scroll all the way down and click on the Save option. And as you can see here, the perquisite amount has been updated. To check how this will affect the employee's TDS calculation, let me just quickly go over to the parent that has been created. Clicking on View Details and Apply Recent Changes. Now, if you check the employee's TDS sheet, you will see the total perquisite amount being added here to the employee's total taxable income. Moving on, let's say your organization already has reimbursement components, and as you're stepping into a new fiscal year, you are looking towards changing the eligible amounts. Let's see how this can be accomplished both at an org level and at an employee level. Quickly going over to Zoho Payroll, going into the settings option again, salary components, reimbursements, and select the leave travel allowance component here. Now you can see the org level maximum that has been set here is 5,000 rupees. So I'm just increasing it to 10,000 and clicking on save. Once that's done, just go over to any of your employees' profile, go to the salary details page and click on the edit option. Once you're here, if you scroll down, you can see the maximum amount eligible is automatically updated. And you can change the employee level eligibility as well. Now just keep in mind, the fixed allowance component for this employee is 15,228 rupees. Let me just quickly change his LT eligibility to 5,000 and scroll down and click on the preview option. And if I check the fixed allowance component, it has been reduced to 12,728 rupees. Basically, if you increase or decrease any of the allowance components or any of the other salary structure components in your employee salary structure, it will affect the fixed allowance component, changing the employee's TDS calculation. Once you're happy with this configuration, you can just scroll down and click on Save. Another component that an organization might consider to introduce while they are performing a salary structure change are FPP components. Basically, flexible benefit components help your employees to plan their taxes by reducing their total taxable income. Let me quickly show you how you can configure this and how your employees can declare the FPP to their self-service portal. Going back to Zoho Payroll, just go to the settings option, click on the salary components option and select the add earning on the top right corner. Now select the earnings option and under earning type, if you select any earning component that will be configurable under the flexible benefit plan, you will get this option on the right side to include this component into the FPP plan. If you select that, you will again get an additional option to restrict your employees from overadding the FPP amount. We will see how this will impact the employee's FPP declaration later on. So once you're done with all of the configuration in this page, go ahead and click on Save. Again, I've made all of these configurations previously in this organization, so I'm not going to click on Save. So going back to an employee's profile, going to the salary details page, and then once you click on the edit option, you will see the FPP plan components here. Here, just click on the edit option and scroll all the way down. You will see the FPP plan components being listed here. And if you want to associate them to this employee, just select these components. And additionally, you can also enter the employee level maximum amount that can be claimed. So in this case, I'm just increasing it to 10,000 for daily allowance for this employee. And once done, you can just scroll all the way down and click on save. And now for your employees to be able to declare these FPP components, you can either release the declaration at an employee level by selecting the three dots on the top right corner and clicking on the release FPP declaration. Or you can do it organization wide by going into the settings option, clicking on preferences and clicking the FPP plan option. Now if you click on the release FPP declaration, your employees will be able to declare FPP components till the cutoff date that is selected. I'm just clicking on save now and the preference is updated. So quickly going over to the self-service portal. As you can see here, the banner message is being displayed stating that FPP declaration has been released for this current fiscal year, and your employees can just click on this option and they will be taken to this page. So from here, if you want to claim these FPP components, you can just select them and enter the monthly amount. In this case, I'm just entering 5,000 rupees, and as I make changes to the monthly amount, you can see that the values on the top of the web page are being changed. So this is nothing but based on your claimed FPP amount, the employee's total taxable income, that is the fixed allowance component, will be reduced. And again, we previously saw an option which will restrict your employees from overriding the monthly amount for your FPP components. And for driver's reimbursement, we have selected that option. So in this case, the employees can either opt in or opt out of that particular FPP component. Once you're happy, you can just go ahead and click on save. And basically that will change the employee's salary structure. And you can see the new FPP components being added to the employee's salary structure in the same page. Now let's talk about some of the best practices surrounding IT declaration. It is recommended that organizations release IT declaration to their employees as early as possible so that your employees can plan their taxes accordingly. Now let's assume that IT declaration window has been closed in your organization, and then some of your employees are walking up to you with additional investment proofs that they want to declare. Or you have employees that are joining your organization during the middle of a fiscal year. Let's see how these scenarios can be handled in Zoho Payroll. As a payroll admin, you can choose to submit IT declaration on behalf of your employees through the admin portal. To do that, just open up an employee's profile and click on the Investments tab and then click on the Submit Declaration option. Here, you can make the necessary changes to the employee's income tax declaration. Let's assume that you don't want to modify the IT declaration on behalf of your employees, rather release it at an employee level. To do that, just go back to the employees overview page, click on the three dots on the top right corner, and you will have the option to release IT declaration. And if you want to do this for multiple employees, you can just go back to the employees page again and select the employees for whom you want to release the income tax declaration. Once that's done, click on the More option on the top of the page and then click on the Release IT Declaration option. Let's now see some of the do's and don'ts surrounding IT declaration. First up, if you have an approved POI in the previous fiscal year, it will be automatically imported to the income tax declaration of the current financial year. And when your employees are submitting their income tax declaration through the self-service page, in the tax regimes option, the default option will be selected as old regime. In this page, you can compare and contrast how the TDS calculation will change based on the regime selection. Let's just quickly see how this option will look like from the self-service portal. Going back to the self-service portal, clicking on the Investments tab, and then clicking on Declare Investments. After making the necessary changes again, just scroll all the way down and click on Save and Compare Regimes. As you can see, the default regime has been selected as old, and you can see the tax liability based on the regime selection. and their employees can make their selection according to their needs. And once that's done, they can just scroll all the way down and click on the submit option. Only after submitting the income tax declaration, it will be considered for the tax calculation purposes. Keeping in line with optimizing your payroll operation for the upcoming fiscal year, let's say your organization wants to communicate a payroll related policy change to its employees. To effectively do this, Zoho Payroll has introduced a new option called as Documents module. Using this option, you can publish any of the org level policies that you want your employees to have ready access to. It might be payroll related process documents, HR policies, or any other employee related handbooks. So let's just quickly see how you can use this option in Zoho Payroll. Once you're in your payroll page, you will have the documents option on the left side of your screen. Just click on that. From here, go to the org level folder, and here, as you can see, I've already created a couple of folders here. And if you want to add new documents to a folder, just click on the add document on the top right corner and upload the file. Once that's done, let's just quickly see how your employees can view these documents from your self-service portal. Going back to the self-service portal, on the left side, you will have the documents option. Clicking on that, you'll have a folder named as organization documents. Now, as you can see, the HR policy manual is being reflected here, and the investment declaration guide is also reflected here. Your employees can either choose to view it directly from this web page, or they also have an option to download and take this offline as well. Now we enter into a crucial aspect of any payroll related operation, that is staying compliant with all of the government enforced rules and regulations. Let's see some of the best practices surrounding this. To begin with, please ensure that you have set up a calendar and reminders for all statutory filing dates and deadlines so that you do not miss out on any of these activities. Also, we will help you in identifying some of the key reports that can assist you with this process. Some of the statutory filing deadlines are listed in the screen right now. As you can see, the TDS payment deadline is the 7th of the next month, and in terms of Form 24Q, you can see the various quarters and the deadlines for the same. Let's just quickly see how you can generate Form 24Q with Zoho Payroll. Going back to Zoho Payroll, here you will have a separate option called Taxes and Forms. Just go into the first option there, Tax Liabilities. So here, as and when you complete a regular pay run for any given month, you will see the total TDS that has to be paid. Once you have made the TDS payment, you can just click on View Details and then click on the Record Challan option and update the challan details here. After recording the payment, you can just go down to the challans option, and if you have any unassociated challans, you can just verify those details here. And if you want to see all of the previously associated ones, you can click on the Associated tab. Once that's done, you can just go down to the Form 24Q option and you will see the quarters, various quarters of the fiscal year listed here. Click on View Details and then click on Generate Text File. Once here, you will be prompted to enter employer details and the responsible person details. So all of these details are very crucial for us to be able to generate the Form 24Q. So kindly update them. And once done, click on the Generate option. And based on the number of employees present in your organization, this might take a while. Just give it a minute. Yeah, now the generation is completed. Once that's done, you will be able to download the Form 24Q from here, and we will also give you the next steps as to how you can proceed with filing your TDS returns. And once you have filed your TDS return, you can just come back to Zoho Payroll and click as mark this as file. You can also select the filing date. And that is how you process your Form 24Qs with Zoho Payroll. Let's see some of the other reports that Zoho Payroll can generate to help you stay compliant. Going into the reports option, you can see the various statutory reports that our system can generate. To start with, you have the EPF ECR report, ESIC return report, PT summary report, and the LWF summary report. Using these reports, you'll be able to file all of these statutory regulatory requirements. We have seen how you can optimally close a fiscal year with Zoho Payroll previously, and a culmination of all of that will be publishing Form 16s to your employees. In preparation for this, it is important that you update the PAN numbers for all your employees, as this is the key that will be used to generate Form 16s. Let's just quickly show you how this process will work in Zoho Payroll. Going into the taxes and form options, you will have the Form 16 option here. Click on that, and then you will have the option to generate Form 16. Once you click on that, you will be prompted to upload the Part A files that you have downloaded from the Traces utility. Once you upload the Part A files, we will generate the Part B files for your employees. And post that, you will have to sign them digitally, and then after that we will give you the option to publish your Form 16. It will either be sent to your employees via email, or they can also access it from their self-service portal. We have reached the tail end of this webinar session, and before we leave, we would like to share some of the bite-sized best practices or pro tips, as we like to call them, so that it can elevate your payroll process as you step into the new financial year. To begin with, it is recommended that you mark your exit employees' last working dates before processing your regular pay run for any given month. This will ensure that you are processing your exit pay runs separately and then your regular pay runs. Up next, please do not delete your exit employee profiles from your Zoho People account, as this will be necessary for us to be able to sync the last working dates. Additionally, if you are planning to rehire those employees, it is crucial that you maintain their records in your Zoho People account. Also, please ensure that all of your exit employees are submitting their proof of investments before processing the full and final settlement pay run, as these pay runs will be based on employees' proof of investment submission rather than their income tax declaration. Up next, Zoho Payroll will generate all of these statutory reports when your pay runs reach the approved status. This will ensure that you are not waiting around for the pay run to be marked as paid for your statutory reports to be filed. If you have employees joining in the middle of a financial year, make sure that previous employment details are updated for accurate TDS calculation. Let me just quickly show you where you can find this option. Going into Zoho Payroll, Employee Self-Service Portal, under the Investments tab, once you click on the Edit Investments option, you will have the previous employment details. Once it is updated, click on Save and Submit, and this will update the employee's TDS calculation. Also, talking about TDS calculation, we recommend that organizations check the TDS summary worksheet report periodically during key salary structure or appraisals, so that you have an idea on the TDS calculation that our system does. So let me just quickly show you where you can find this report. Going into Zoho Payroll again, under Pay Runs. Once you open up a pay run, click on the Export Data option, then click on the Payroll Data. Under the type of payroll report, click on the TDS worksheet report, and then click on Export. This report will show how the TDS calculation is being computed at a pay run level. We would like to share some of the pro tips surrounding Zoho People integration. So if you are using Zoho People with your Zoho Payroll account, please ensure that PAN number and father's name fields are updated for all of your employees, as if not updated, this will lead to errors when we are generating the Form 24Q. Also note that father's name is not a default field in your Zoho People account. This has to be created manually. Let me just quickly show you how you can map these custom fields in your Zoho Payroll account. So going over to Zoho Payroll, click on the Settings option, then go down to Zoho Apps. Now click on View Details. In this page, click on the Edit Employee Details mapping. And then if you scroll down under Personal Information, you will have the father's name field unmapped. So if you have created the father's name field in your Zoho People account, this will show up here. All you have to do is select the option here and then scroll all the way down and click Save. And when the next instancing happens, if the data is updated in your Zoho People account, it will be automatically pulled into Payroll. Likewise, it is also recommended that you update your employee's personal email address, as we will not use the work email address when you are processing full and final settlements for your employees. We will only use the personal email address to communicate the employees FNF payslips and their TDS worksheets. And with that, we have reached the end of this session. So let's just quickly go over the session summary. So we began with unclaimed reimbursement handling from the previous fiscal year, and then moved on to some of the post fiscal year tax implications based on some scenarios. Later on, we talked about some of the best practices that you can follow while performing salary structure changes, and then moved on to IT declaration. We also talked about a new option that Zoho Payroll has introduced, that is documents module. And towards the end, we also talked about some of the best practices surrounding compliance related activities, post which we also shared some pro tips that you can implement to streamline your payroll process. Finally, now we are heading into the Q&A session, so where I will be answering some of your questions raised through the Q&A tab. So the first question here is from Mr. Sivakumar. So he has asked, will we get EPF ECR file through payroll system? So for that, let me just quickly go ahead and share my screen. If you want to generate the EPF ECR report, all you have to do is just go to the reports option, and then under statutory reports, you will have the EPF ECR report. Once you're here, select the current, the correct pay month that you want to generate the EPF report for, and then click on the export as option. Now you will have the option to export the ECR file. Alright, now we have another question from Ruchika here. So she has asked, what is the process if we rehire someone? So Ms. Ruchika, in Zoho Payroll, we have a feature wherein you can rehire your employees, but currently, if you want this to be enabled, kindly reach out to our support system and we will get that enabled for your organization. We have a question from Ms. Preeti here. Ms. Preeti asks, is there any option for part payment of revised salary in multiple months? So, Ms. Preeti, in terms of salary revisions and withholding salary, we do have the option to withhold the entire salary of an employee. But in terms of releasing it, you will have to release the entire salary. We will not be able to process part payments to your employees through our system. All right. We have another question from Mr. Vijay here. So he asks how to set IT declaration last of submission on employee portal and proof of submission last day. For that, let me just again quickly share my screen. So in this case, you will just have to navigate to the settings option. Now go to the preferences page. Here, once you're in the income tax declaration option, click on release IT declaration, and now you will be prompted to enter the cutoff date until which your employees can submit their income tax declaration. Just selecting the 30th. And once that's done, you can also select the options to notify your employees on the upcoming deadline. And then once you're happy with this configuration, just go ahead and click on save. And likewise, for proof of investments, you have the option of declaring proof of investments as well. Yeah. So now we have another question from Abu Bashra here. So they asked if employees are deleted in your Zoho People account, will it impact the payroll system? To answer this, yes, it will affect your Zoho payroll operations, because if you delete your employee's profile in your Zoho People account, you will not be able to sync their exit details into your payroll account. Additionally, if you want to rehire that employee, you will not be able to do that as well, because we will need the employee's data in your Zoho People account to be able to rehire said employee into our payroll system. We have another question from Mr. Tirumurthy here. He asked, can we have employer PF contribution farming pot of CTC for a few employees and not for a few of their employees? So in this case, Mr. Tirumurthy, this configuration to include employers PF contribution as the part of CTC is an org level setting. So if you have this enabled, it will be applicable to all of your employees in your organization. So that currently will not be possible in our system. So we have few questions from Ms. Preeti here. So the first question is, releasing withheld salary during mid-month or apart from monthly or FNF pay run execution. So in this case, Ms. Preeti, if you are in the professional plan of Zoho Payroll, you will be able to create an off-cycle pay run through which you can release these withheld salaries of your employees. And in terms of part payment of salary revision, that will not be possible. You will have to release the entire withheld salary of your employees in our system. And in terms of your last question, wherein your employee is being able to see a revised salary structure before processing the pay run execution, uh, again, this is something that they will be able to see only after processing the pay run where the revised salary is effective from. We have a question from Mr. Sandeep here. So he asks, can employees update their basic details like PAN, bank details, etc., and can it directly come from the admin view? So in this case, Mr. Sandeep, if you're using Zoho People along with your Zoho payroll account, your employees will be able to add these details from their Zoho People portal, and that data can be synced over to payroll. And if you're using payroll as a standalone application, all of these details has to be updated by the admin. We have another question from Ms. Neha here. So she asks, is it mandatory to have Zoho people for Zoho payroll activities like IT declarations and POI? Ms. Neha, to answer your question, Zoho people integration is not mandatory. It will be useful if you're syncing your employee details directly from Zoho people and also syncing your LOP details from your people account. In other cases, you can use Zoho payroll as a standalone application for all your payroll related activities. We have another question from Mr. Sandeep here. So he asks, is there a way to attach employee-related documents in Zoho Payroll, like their offer letter, promotion letter, etc.? So in this case, Mr. Sandeep, yes, it will be possible. You can upload employee-level details using the documents module as well. So using that, you'd be able to add any employee-specific documents into our system as well, and they can access it through the self-service portal. We have another question from Mr. Vaibhav here. So in this case, they are asking if we are processing salary revision for our employees effective from Jan 2024 in April payroll, how the Zoho system will take care of taxation in Form 16. Mr. Vaibhav, all of the tax calculations will be done automatically and it will be added to the employee's salary. You do not have to make any manual adjustments in this case. We have another question from Mr. Sivakumar here. So they're asking, in their organization, they use the payroll platform where the HR will run the pay run and share it with the finance team to upload the file in the bank side and release salary. What is the process in Zoho Payroll? So in this case, Mr. Sivakumar, you can create custom roles for your organization wherein certain employees will have the option to execute or create pay runs, and or employees from the finance team will have the option to download the bank advice form and then mark the pay run as paid. So you can reach out to our support system and we will let you know as to how you can do this configuration for custom roles. We have a question from Simrat here. So they're asking if they upload some of the files in the document section, but they are not able to see them. In this case, Simrat, please reach out to support@zohopayroll.com and we will, try to assist you with your issues. Yeah. So we have a question from Ms. Preeti here. So ESIC exclusion isn't done directly from Zoho Payroll after the conditions are met on the gross pay of the employee being more than 21,000 rupees. So the reason you're seeing the ESI deduction still happening is because there will be ESIC windows for, there will be two windows under which the employee's ESIC will be deducted. Even if the employee's, a salary gross pay is crossing the 21,000 threshold, if they are within the ESIC window, we will still deduct the amount from the employee's salary if they are, in the window. So after the, 6 months period, we will stop the deduction automatically, Ms. Preeti. We have a question from Mr. Muthu Selvan here. They're asking, while employees are declaring their income tax declaration, is it mandatory to submit the proof declaration also as well during the beginning of the financial year? So in this case, Mr. Muthu Selvan, it is not mandatory that the employees submit proofs as well during the beginning of the financial year. It will be required when you're closing the financial year and when you're processing a proof of investment based pay run. Only during that period, your employees would have to submit their relevant income tax related documents. We have a question from Manu Shivram here. So they're asking, employees have declared their investment declaration, but the same is not reflecting in the individual tax computation. Is there any further configuration to be done? So regarding this, please reach out to our support team. We will definitely get this checked out and give you the proper troubleshooting steps, Mr. Manu. We have another question from Mr. Muthuselvan here. Whether the admin would have the option to modify employees' IT declaration? Yes, Mr. Muthu. Admins will have the option to modify employees' IT declaration from the admin console. Yeah, we have a question from Sailesh Paramar here. So they are asking, they have a hybrid policy. So for those who are working from home, conveyance allowance will not be provided, though they are present at work remotely. In this case, Mr. Sailesh, please reach out to our support team. We will check if we can, accommodate this particular requirement for your organization. Yeah, we have a question from Ms. Neha here, and they're asking, can we change investment declaration of employees if he is not able to invest in mid-year? Yes, Ms. Neha, you will have the flexibility to edit or change the investment declaration of any of your employees during any point in time through the admin console. All right. We have another question from Ms. Sonanki here. So they're asking how to delete previous employee data from Zoho Payroll. So in this case, Ms. Sonanki, so you don't have to delete your employee profiles from Zoho Payroll if they are exiting your organization. You'll just have to initiate the exit process and process their full and final settlement pay run. So that is the process that you have to follow. You don't have to delete your employees. We have a question from Mr. Prasad here, and they're asking, is there any way to since employee details to contracts to initiate agreements, NDAs with employees? Regarding this requirement, Mr. Prasad, please reach out to our support team and we will check what can be done from our end. We have another question from Ms. Neha here, and they're asking how many times can we change tax regime if requested by employee? So in this case, Ms. Neha, it's totally up to the organization to decide as to how many times that they want to change their employees' tax regime. So you can make that decision on behalf of your employees. All right. We have another question from Mr. Sanjeev Kumar here, and they're asking, it would be great if Zoho has an option to view/check what investment proofs are required under the different investment sections so that the employees can submit all of the proofs as per government norms. So in this case, Mr. Sanjeev, so kindly check what type of investment declaration that the employee is making. So if let's say it's an LIC policy that they are declaring, check if they are submitting the relevant policy related documentation. So that you would be able to verify whether they are submitting the right type of proofs or not. We have another question from Mr. Parthiban here, and they are asking if we are able to pay salaries to contract employees who are not part of the organization. So in this case, Mr. Parthiban, kindly reach out to our support team. We will assist you with this particular query. All right. We have another question from Mr. Naina here, and they're asking, can we enable VPF tab to be added or enabled in the employee side so that they can choose the way that they want to declare the VPF amount? So in this case, Mr. Naina, currently, if an employee chooses to make contributions towards VPF, they will have to do it through the admin. You will have to do it on behalf of them through the admin console. They cannot do it through the employee self-service portal. So our final question from Ms. Neha is perquisite a monthly amount? And can we add salary components like based on employees' performance so that we can maintain or reduce based on their performance? So to answer your first question, Ms. Neha, no, perquisite is not a monthly amount. Whatever value that you enter as a perquisite value for your employee's salary, it will be an annual projection and it will be added to the employee's annual TDS annual taxable amount. And in terms of your next question, can we add salary components based on employees' performance? Yes, you can add these salary components based on employee performance if they are in CTC components in Zoho Payroll. So kindly reach out to our support team and we will help you in configuring these components.
Thank you everyone for attending the session today. Thank you, Ramanathan. Thank you, team Satish and Arun, for answering all the questions. Hope you had a good time in the session today. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to support@zohopayroll.com. We will put the mail ID in the chat box right now, and our team will assist you further. Once again, thank you everyone for joining this session. Our next expert talk will cover setting up reimbursements and allowances. And we will be sending out the registration forms through mails and within the product for you to register and attend. Thank you, team.